we go. How you doing, Sonny? Holy
Yo,
shit.
yo, yo. I'm doing well. Doing
Wow.
well, man.
This is a one-on-one. I figured I'd call you up because you missed the last one. And
I know. Couldn't help it. We had that big storm come through
yeah.
and blew the fence down, so I had to fix that.
Yeah, that was like some kind of a big, like almost a tornado or
And
just a,
it wasn't quite a tornado, just heavy gusts of wind.
oh yeah, big
Yeah,
windstorm.
yeah, a lot of
Yeah,
trees
yeah,
went
yeah.
down. It wasn't the worst we've had, but it hit our yard just good enough to knock part of the fence down.
I was going to ask you, was it Arkansas or Alabama? Where am I calling?
Kentucky.
Neither. Kentucky.
Neither of those.
And you're talking Ottawa, Canada, right? Way the hell up north.
Ottawa can't. So, what time is it over there?
It's 7 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, that's right. Is it Alberta that's a different time?
they're all like the Canada's pretty wide, right? So we've got pretty much the same time zone as New York, going all the way down. And if you
Right.
go more east, you get to Nova Scotia, or you go through New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. Nova Scotia is 1 hour difference, so they're 1 hour later. So they'd be eight
Okay.
o'clock right now, and then Newfoundland is a half an hour more. They added half an
Right.
hour,
I
right?
was
So
looking online and I was trying to figure it out, and it was showing different times. So I'm like, I don't know.
no, I figured we'd do it. I'm going to publish it too, right? And I was going to put you up there, and you've been commenting on my videos for quite some time now, and I really appreciate it, Sonny. So I
Well,
think
look,
you're
you're the one that knows more than I do. I've been
uh,
just scrambling, teaching myself, and I'm one of those people where when I read something,
yeah,
it sticks.
yeah,
And then all I have to do is see someone do it, and then I go do it. And once I do it, I can do it.
yeah. No, you're a pretty bright guy. Like the comments you've given back, and the suggestions you've given me over the last. I'm not sure how long you've been watching the YouTube, but
You know what? It's actually going on close to 2 years now, just
holy
coming up.
crap, Jesus.
Yeah, I was just realizing that myself because I kept thinking about it as just a year, but no, it's getting closer to 2 years now.
Yeah,
But because I had emailed you so long ago, I had looked back to find your email address
yeah,
and realized I'm like, holy cow, that was a lot longer ago than I realized.
yeah.
I had
And
emailed you way back when I was just first scratching the surface to
I
talk to you
answered, didn't
about
I? I
stuff.
must have answered, right? Because I'm
You
usually
did. You did. I appreciate it.
yeah, I know.
I had shared some of the tools that I had gotten, and I must say, and I know I've already said it, but you have taught me so much about watchmaking. Your videos have been just a gold mine of
Now,
information for
yeah,
me.
thanks. I put a line up today. So the Ottawa Clock and Watch Society, their collector society, they've got
Yeah.
a lot of mostly clockmakers, a bunch of people that do pocket watches and some people that do watches. Very few do actual watches. Most are either clocks.
Clocks.
Some guys have got like one of the guys I know quite well. He's got around, I'd say, 100 clocks on the go,
Oh
like
my goodness.
just sitting
That's
there. Some of them take two
wow.
years for him to get back, and he also does house visits and this sort of thing. So these guys they're very knowledgeable individuals, and I meet with them on Tuesdays at lunchtime, if I can get away to do this, right? And I ask questions, and we talk about friggin' everything, right? It's really it's a resource for me as well.
Yeah.
And then over the years, I've bought every video and book over the years and learned a lot on my own. And then I've got like friends that have not local friends, but friends online that I've asked
Yeah.
questions to and taught me. Like I said last time, I think we talked, or I'm not sure if you were there, but the watchmakers. There's a blog that's run by what's his name, Mark. Uh, it's like
Lubbock.
yeah, Lovick, Mark Lovick. Yeah.
Yeah. He's really good. I've learned a lot from his videos as well.
And he's a British gentleman that lives in Thailand, eh? And
Yeah. Singapore.
yeah, Singapore. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
he's a
Still
professional watchmaker, right? This guy,
that's
I've
all
learned
he does.
boatloads. Yeah,
That's all he does.
and I took his
And it
courses
shows.
too. I took some of his courses, like his actual courses on diagnosing problems and everything, and bought last year. I bought a course on repairing the 7750 chronograph,
Oh,
and
I've been looking at those. Those are neat.
yeah, they're tricky. And the only reason I bought it was for the oiling. Like
Ah,
the actual, like I can disassemble and assemble it, but it was the actual oiling and the sweep second. The actual hand is really tricky on that one, right? To get that on perfectly for the chronograph hand.
right.
So, and a friend of mine is a pilot. He was a fighter pilot, and he was given this chronograph. I think he was given the chronograph maybe 20 years ago, and he just loved it, but it wasn't working, and there was a rusted part
Boil
in the
down.
middle, and yeah, so I was going to ask you some questions. I actually wrote questions down, So
Fire. I love it.
fire away.
Grill me.
So I got a few here. So like, first of all, thanks for agreeing to join here because you're a really knowledgeable individual, and your criticisms and comments, positive criticisms, I should say.
Well, I was
And
going to say, I try not to be
no,
a critical person. I
you're
only try and share what I've learned.
yeah,
And my main concern is to be helpful. If I
yeah,
could be helpful, like when I share on Facebook,
yeah,
I've had people contact me about all the tools I share,
yeah,
and usually they want to buy them. And
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah.
I'm not trying to sell anything. I searched high and low for these things. I got them to keep them, to have them, to do the work with them.
Yeah.
I didn't buy them so I can turn around and sell them.
So so how long you been at this repairing watches? How many years?
Well, it's just coming up on 2 years now.
2 years. That's incredible. Like yourself and Chris Spinner impressed the hell out of me. Like 2 years is not a lot of time to learn a lot. That all the things you've learned on doing
Well,
watchmaking. So
I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of watching of videos,
yeah,
lots of your videos, a lot of other watchmakers who are kind enough to share online,
yeah,
and I soak it up. I watch it,
yeah.
and then I pull out my watches and I do what I see.
Well, what got you going on this? Like what started you?
Well, I have always had an interest in watches. I remember as a child dealing with a watch, and I was very young. And when I was really little, the way I opened things up and found out what
Yeah,
was inside
yeah.
was with a hammer. So I'd say about 3 or 4 years old, I had a
Yeah,
hammer,
yeah.
and I would just break
So you,
things because I've always wanted to know what is inside, what makes things
how
work.
things work. Yeah, yeah,
It's how I'm wired. It's how I'm made,
yeah,
and how my brain works. And so I had been given a watch that didn't work as a toy,
yeah,
and I breaking it open, and it was a little Timex watch, so it wasn't
yeah.
anything
Right.
special inside, but all the little gears fell out.
Oh,
And I will never forget the feeling I had when I broke it and I saw what was inside, and I felt so bad. I wish I had never broken it because of all the beautiful, delicate little gears in there, the wheels.
yeah, yeah.
And I've always had an interest, but I never pursued it. I'm always doing other things like building houses, working on cars, building engines, transmissions, working on 4x4 trucks, welding, and doing every aspect of home construction and remodeling. And I just never did it. I wanted to. I always looked at them,
Yeah.
and I honestly, I was in the hospital. My wife was in there, and it was serious. And I was sitting there, and I was thinking about things, and when certain things happen in your life and to your loved ones, you realize, you start looking at life, and you think about all the things you want to do, but you're not doing it.
Right.
You're not,
Right.
you want to do them. It's something you really desire to do, but you're just not doing
Yeah.
it. And I was sitting there and I was thinking to myself, why am I not doing that?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I ended up getting online, and I purchased a lot of 30 broken American pocket watches,
Yeah.
Walthams, Elgins. There's a couple of there's some Swiss in there too. There's a Omega pocket watch, Taverness, but mostly it was Elgin, and
And Waltham's.
Waltham, and there was a couple of others in there,
Yeah.
and Hamilton, a couple of
Yeah.
Hamilton in there, and I couldn't believe how inexpensive it was to buy all these beautiful things. And so I got them. They came to me. I opened them up, and at that point I started watching videos, and I caught one of your videos, and it was you making a balance staff for a Waltham watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got the camera set up, and every time you're in there and you're using your graver. And I've used milling machines and lathes, but on a larger scale. It's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
And I'm watching you use your lathe, and I'm like, that is incredible. He's it's like a wood turning lathe, but he's turning steel on it, and it just completely drew me in. And I started watching your videos. Started watching your videos about servicing watches, the oiling, figuring out the problems with them, and the way that you keep filming as you do it,
Yeah.
and you film everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, I found that extremely helpful
Yeah. I
because
film mistakes too, right? Everything.
they're not mistakes.
Yeah.
It's learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
learning. I'm learning from your mistakes, but I can't call them mistakes, nor would I call them mistakes, because as you're working through it, then my gears are turning, and I'm gathering up a real understanding of the watch, the movement,
Yeah.
and how it works, and why it's broken, why
Yeah.
it's not working.
Yeah.
As you're working through it, I'm working through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're not mistakes.
Yeah. And I'm
You're illustrating, and the thing is, you don't stop filming,
no.
and that's the beauty. Some people will say, "Well, it's too long," or anything like. No, because all the detail that you get into and everything, all the rabbit holes you go down, I'm going down, or
Yeah.
whoever's watching the video is going down as well, and then you understand.
Yeah.
And so to me,
And I kind of talk through it as well, right? As I'm
yes,
doing it, I talk through the problem and try to
exactly.
diagnose it as I'm talking and learning and this sort of thing.
Yes.
And I've got the same curiosity you do, by the way. I took things apart. I'm an electronics guy, right? I think I've told you that. And
well, hang on. I got a 1-year-old has grabbed hold of my camera. Okay, all right. I'm on a call, little monkey.
Come here, James.
I'm on a call.
Come on.
I was playing pedal slide guitar
sorry,
once.
I'm on a call. I can't have you do that.
James. Come on.
Sorry, little monkey. I'll see you shortly. Sorry about that.
No, that's no problem. I had 3
that's
monkeys and 7 grand monkeys now.
Well, and I've got Cole is 28, my oldest.
Yeah.
So 28, and then Harrison is 16, going on 17, and then William is 7. Oh no, he's 8 now. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah.
And then Elizabeth is 7, and then James, he's coming out. He's just coming up on 2 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're busy, man.
But I love being a father. I love seeing their wheels turn as they're developing, and I it never again their little personalities grow. Each one of them is different. Even when they're a baby, they're all different.
Are they good? Are they good with is your equipment out there available for them to grab? Like, are they good with that?
I have to be careful about James. Yeah. Because he is like me and you, and he loves anything mechanical. And if he sees something mechanical, he wants to grab it and hold it and look at it and take it away.
Yeah, that's good. He's going to be your next little watchmaker. I know it, right?
Well, and you haven't met him yet. William's having dinner right now. But William is like me. He's able to grasp the stuff and do it.
I think I saw him doing some work once on your bench. Right?
He's learning to use the watchmaker's lathe. I think I've shared some videos of that. You can find that on YouTube. I try and share that stuff.
Yeah.
And it makes me extremely proud. But the bottom line is, he's like I am. My wife calls him my mini me because he can do it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
he's 8 years old and he can grab a graver and he can shape things
Well,
on a
that's
lathe.
actually 8 years old, and he's doing that. He's going to be a watchmaker. You know that, right?
When you put a tool in his hand,
Oh yeah.
he's not 8 anymore. He completely zones in and concentrates on what he's doing, and everything you tell him or show him, he replicates it exactly.
Well, that's the beauty behind this kind of, I don't know, kind of a trade art, whatever you want to call it, right? Is that you have to zone in. You have no choice but to actually focus, right? So you'll
You have,
ruin the part, you'll ruin the watch, you'll ruin the piece on your lathe and have to redo it. You have to be laser focused on the problem
yeah.
you're looking at hand. Eh? So I got a question about you on tools. So are there tools that you're still looking for?
Cross slide.
Oh, a cross slide for a lathe.
Yeah. So I've got 11 lathe, and it's got everything
Yeah.
but a cross slide. But I haven't really needed the cross slide yet. So what I would do with the cross slide is like when you're making a screw or making a pinion or a shaft, or
Yeah.
even thinking about when you're making a balance staff,
Yeah.
that you set it to your depth and you run across, and you
Yeah.
can make
You know
even
what?
straight
For
line.
for the
You
balance staff, I have a cross slide, and if I had two, I'd give you one. I'm serious. I don't have two. I have one. They're very expensive, right?
Oh, that's why I don't have one, because I've got a family and everything. I have to balance everything. And a cross slide, I haven't been able to justify buying one because
Yeah.
they want as much as a lathe for a cross
Yeah.
slide.
I
And
know.
I can't see,
I
the
know.
thing is, I can justify buying a lot of different things, but I can't justify spending that kind of money on that one item.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I don't really need it. I just
Yeah.
want
And
it.
even for a balance staff, I tried using a cross slide for a balance staff. You just got to go in by hand. And this
Yeah.
Tasconi guy that I might have mentioned before, he does James Cameron's setups for communication for movies and stuff, and he's out of New
Wow.
Mexico.
Very
And he's
technical.
and if you look him up, you'll see that he's a master clockmaker and a master watchmaker. I bought his videos on using lathes years ago, and the videos are probably 20 years old. And
That doesn't matter.
I managed to get a hold of him on a Sunday once, and I had a long chat with him. And I just wanted to know, and this was back when I first got into lathes, I wanted to know what oil to use, right, for the bearing, for the cone bearing in a lathe. And he said 0W20 synthetic. He
Yeah.
said that'll work perfectly for your lathe. And I had a
That's
great
what
chat with a guy about everything, right? And because I was
Yeah.
trying to figure out, I wasn't a guy who had used a wood lathe or had used a machine lathe before.
Uh,
I'm an electronics guy. I've soldered my
ah,
butt off. I've used all kinds of oscilloscopes and meters and all kinds of stuff, but I wasn't a guy that did that, right?
yeah.
I know which end of the hammer to use, and I know which end of a nail to use. I built a house with my dad when I was younger, so he built
Yeah.
a full house from the blocks up, right?
Yeah, I grew
Sill
up. I
plates and the whole bit, right? So I'm pretty good. I'm pretty inquisitive, and I'm pretty good with mechanical things. My youngest kid's
You are.
36, and he's a mechanical engineer, and
Oh,
he's smarter than I am. He's quite twice as smart. Right? He's a good kid.
well, you know what? As a father, that is so gratifying to see that.
Yeah.
You see yourself, but you see more.
Yeah. So
You know
do
what
you?
I'm saying? See more. He's already doing. It's so easy for him, and you see yourself, but also
Yeah.
you see more. Maybe
That's
that
it's
as a
kind of
father.
your that's kind of your job, eh? Well, the worst thing is, so I've got three kids. My middle boy is the one that he's an armored corps tank commander and squadron commander. Went to Afghanistan
Oh,
twice, so he was Leopard tanks in Afghanistan twice. So we've
wow,
got the German Leopards up here in Canada. So he was a battle captain his second tour. So
wow,
pretty impressive kid, and
very.
he could win a gold medal in some Olympic. You never find out. He doesn't brag about a thing. Eh? So that's
Yeah.
Peter, and my daughter's a high school teacher up in northern Ontario, Thunder Bay, Ontario, up right at the top of the Great Lakes, and
That's
she's
awesome.
like, get it done, right? She's like my wife. My wife's Italian, and like this, eh? So I just say yes, dear, right? So, and the youngest one's the engineer and the little mini Elon Musk guy, right? He's got a little business where he makes tables and stuff. So,
Oh
but
wow.
but none of them, and I got 7 grandchildren, so none of them are interested in watchmaking. They know I love
Oh,
watches, right? And they know I
yeah.
love watchmaking. Um,
Yeah.
And do you collect watches?
See, the thing is, I do. I collect.
Or do you collect them accidentally? Like you make.
Well, I collect like this right here.
Oh yeah, that's nice. That is.
Elgin
Yeah.
wristwatch.
Yeah, I was gonna
From
say that's
the
an old
from the
Elgin wristwatch.
So I do collect and I do work on these,
Yeah.
and I do enjoy them
Yeah.
because when you open it up in the back, it's a pocket watch.
Pretty much, just
It's
smaller. Just smaller.
There's
You,
no complications to them, but I think you've seen. One of my New Year's resolutions was to delve more into wristwatches,
yeah.
and I found that my tastes when it comes to things like that are obscure. And I had seen many years ago, actually about a year ago, I can't remember which, maybe Wristwatch Revival or someone else.
Yeah.
They were fixing a a movement with a mini rotor in it,
Yeah.
micro. And I seen that, and I'm like, I want that.
I saw your micro rotor on Facebook.
Hamilton,
right?
Yeah, it's
And
a Hamilton.
it's a vintage micro rotor watch.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't even know they had them back then.
But this vintage for this, it's from the
50s.
late 60s and the
Yeah.
70s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So
still, I
it's-
didn't
that's
know they had
also
them.
a thing- huh?
So it's pretty thin then, right? That's what the micro rotor is all about, was to reduce the.
It's tiny. It is minuscule. It is the tiniest little thing. Here, I'll pull it out. It won't translate too well right now, but.
Yeah, it is. I can see it. It is small.
It's sitting in here with my pocket watches, and it's a tiny little thing. But it's the design of it, the form factor, the mechanics of it that draw me to it. And my New Year's resolution was to delve into wristwatches, so I started looking at wristwatches. But I wanted a micro rotor.
Yeah, no, it's pretty impressive. Like there was a micro rotor on AliExpress. Do you know AliExpress at all?
I have not used it, but I'm aware of it.
Yeah, AliExpress.
I use eBay and Amazon.
Yeah, me too. AliExpress though sells pretty impressive watches made in China.
The clones,
and they're most of them are clones, but they're
That's
very
nothing
well
wrong with
made, right? Like San Martin makes really good watches. I've bought a few over the years, and they're just quality watches they're making, right?
Oh yeah.
And so, but I don't strip them down. I don't clean them. They're not old, so they're working perfectly. So it's.
Look, here's the thing. If I have a watch, all the watches I buy are broken.
Yeah.
That's my criteria.
Yeah.
I don't look at working watches. I have people offer to sell me working. I don't want a working watch. I'm not interested in a working watch. My interest is in getting whichever watch it is that I'm looking for in a dirty, broken condition.
Right.
And then fixing it.
Yeah.
The idea of getting something that is shiny and new looking and working has no appeal to me.
No, I had that appeal. I haven't bought a new watch in a while. I kind of got addicted to buying watches that were more expensive than they should be, right? But not high end watches.
No,
somewhere around.
I'm saying my personal taste. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean I judge anyone else.
No. But I did what you did with pocket watches, though. I started learning exactly like you did. Just buy pocket watches, fix them, buy them and fix them. Now the idea was to get inventory. My wife's job, she was going to be the shipping department, right? So I was receiving and fix. She was shipping. She tells me, look, shipping's department's not that busy these days. What's going on? So 100 and I think I have 130 pocket watches. So that's a lot. And I fixed them all. But now I've done them for customers for the past, 10 years maybe. I've been repairing watches for customers, maybe longer than that actually.
Yeah.
But it's a whole other stress, because now I got somebody's watch.
It's not yours.
It's not mine.
It's not. I don't. All of mine are mine, and I buy them to be mine.
Yeah.
And I'm very possessive of them. Once I fix them, then they go on display over here for me, for my enjoyment. And the whole idea of someone else's watch
Yeah.
I just don't like it. I don't. It, the thing is, it's on your bench. It's not your watch. So if you're delving into it, then you find out that it is in absolute horrible condition. Then you have to explain to someone else that knows nothing about watches
Yeah.
what is wrong with their watch and how much work you're going to have to buy two. I did one for a friend, and I ended up having to buy two donor movements just to fix the one watch. It
Yeah.
was so badly butchered. When we missed that that chat, I was going to cover that. It was an Elgin convertible, which I've become obsessed with. And to fix that watch, I ended up having to buy two donor movements for it, and
And
explain.
which parts did you need the donor movements
Oh
for?
my
Do you remember?
goodness! So the setting lever had been
Yeah.
destroyed,
Yeah.
and on a convertible, the setting lever isn't just a setting lever; it has machined into it a ramp, a lever that pushes a pin up through the main plate and up through the train bridge, and that pin lifts up the lifting arm that lifts up the setting wheel and engages it with a center that is welded or riveted to a center pin that goes all the way through, and the cannon pinion is attached to that. It's got a hollow center.
What is the name of these watches again?
They're Elgin. I call them, and most people call them Elgin convertibles, but
Okay.
they're changeable. And what it is an Elgin engineer patented this himself. Working for
Right.
Elgin, they
Right.
patented it separately. And what it's a movement that can have the winding stem, the crown,
Yep.
move from the open face position to the hunter position.
Oh.
You take the screws out that hold the barrel arbor bridge on.
Yeah. Yeah.
You flip that up, and it has an identical looking slot that the winding stem fits into, and you can move it from pendant or from pendant to
So
hunter
it's so there's a
configuration. And
90-degree angle then. So
no,
you're actually
they what it is it's got the winding or the ratchet wheel
yep.
moves from one side to the other.
No,
Yes.
I'm gonna have to get one of those.
It's basically the system is made to where it's the same on either side. And when you move it from this side, you move both wheels together,
Yeah.
and then it winds from that side. But in doing that, you have to have a way to be able to set the time on the watch. And
Right.
that's why the click is set up underneath the click, and it's a setting gear, and then that lifting arm lifts that setting gear up and engages the center.
So do you have a few of those, Sonny?
Uh,
Are you
Here,
how addicted are you?
up, and all those.
Those are all
You see,
that type of watch, convertible.
this row right here is all them, and then I've got drawers full of them over here.
Oh man, that's worse than you.
And
Holy.
I made a New Year's resolution to not purchase anymore, and I've got two more coming. So
Elgin convertible. I'm gonna look for those now. Those are not.
I'm
Those are the move.
OCD.
What's that?
I'm OCD.
Yeah, no kidding. I can tell anyway.
So it is a asset, and
Yeah.
when it comes to these things, it's not, because I get obsessed with certain things, and once I like something, then I want more of it.
Yeah.
And the other problem is, if you look into these movements, there's different grades. It's the same movement, but they have different. They have got nickel finish. They got gilt
Yeah.
finish.
Yeah.
Some of them, the different grades have more embellishment. Like one of the grade 48, the pallet for caulk has got engraving in it.
Oh,
Deep
yeah. It's
engraving.
just beautiful, right?
It's gorgeous. And
Yeah,
so
I have a gold flashed Hamilton, and it was made during the war when nickel was needed for ammunition for triggering for
Oh,
ammunition, and they told
yeah.
the watch companies go to gold. So it's a
Yeah.
gold flashed watch. It's gorgeous.
Oh, so it's almost like a two-tone.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and it's
So it's
beautiful.
got like a silvery with the gold.
And this is the movement that's gold flashed, not the
Yeah.
casing. Yeah, the movement, and it's just
Yeah,
a
that's what I'm
gorgeous
talking
watch. Yeah,
Cases, I've got very little interest in cases. That's the other problem with this watch right here, is that the case that was made for them was custom for this movement
right,
because they're a little bit wider in diameter
right.
than a 16S, and they're a little deeper.
So
But I've got some old cases. If the older the case you get, they've got more room inside, and
right.
I'm going to chuck it up on my faceplate, and I'm going to
Try to
increase
trim
the
it down so you
diameter.
can use it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's not really a problem for me. See, the way I look at stuff like that, it's not a problem. It's just another project.
So now you got lots of friends, I'm sure, because you're a pretty personable individual, right? So what do your friends think of your watch hobby?
They think it's crazy. That most of them say, "How do you do that?" I'll say, "Well, you can do that." And I don't have a single friend that's gone, "Yeah, I can." They all say, "No way." The main response I get back is, "All I'm going to do is break it." They I've told so many of them, "Well, why don't you just give it a try, buy one?" And knowing people are afraid to touch a watch.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I know.
They,
I get a lot of friends' watches. Like I don't like working on ladies' watches, right? But I've gotten so many friends of mine have said, "This is my wife's mother's watch. Is there anything you can do for me?" And it's usually a heart-filled story, right? That's just like we were talking about earlier, fixing other people's watches. I don't do this. I don't fix the watches to make money. I fix them if they've got a really nice story. And
Yeah, I've done that too for my teller at the bank that
yeah,
I see all the time. I did 2 watches for her,
yeah,
and they were a family. Her grandfather's watches,
yeah. You get a big heart too.
right, and I felt great doing it. And when I got the watches back to her, and they're working because they didn't work when I got them,
Yeah,
and she went around the bank and showed that watch to everybody.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I just handed it to her. The next thing I know, she's from one end of the bank to the other end of the bank showing this watch off.
Yeah, it does make you feel good though,
It
right?
felt great. It felt great. It
Oh
really
yeah,
did. It felt awesome because I was able to do something that brought that much joy.
yeah, yeah. I had a watch. I had
I
to,
like that. That's different. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I do too. They'll people will pay me because it takes a lot of time to recover their watch, and usually it's not in great condition, like the Franken watch that I was working on before.
Yes. Yeah.
That,
That got my wheels turning pretty good over there too.
well, I get the return of Franken watch, and that one there is the one with the
The impulse jewel.
yeah, the one I've got right now, where I got a shellac with the impulse jewel. I'm going to take your advice. I think that shellac that's sitting in the bottom of that bottle is a
Yeah.
little bit loose. So
Yeah. Here's the thing: you made too big a batch. No, here, let me show you the batch that I make.
but now it's only in this little tiny bottle, though, right?
No, here's my tiny bottle.
Go up a little bit with your camera. Oh yeah, that's really small.
1 mil. 1 mil.
Oh yeah, okay. I made too big a batch
So
then, right?
what I did is I took a very small glass dish.
Yeah,
I broke up the shellac,
yeah,
and then I loaded it in here halfway with shellac, and then filled it up the rest of the way with the natured alcohol,
yeah,
and then I let it set. Pretty much, I let it set for a couple days.
yeah.
But now it's been setting for about a month. But look,
It's still liquid, right?
yeah,
Yeah, no.
yeah,
I got, like I said,
the natured alcohol.
you're
And I've been told, see, the thing is, I've been told that you can use IPA for it,
yeah,
but I never tried it because, like I was telling you, I have a background also in restoring furniture
right,
and restoring shellac finishes, the varnish finish on furniture. And you mix up shellac with denatured alcohol, and I think it's called a French glazing or something like that.
yeah,
You
yeah. I've
go
seen
into
them do that on
that,
guitars, actually.
and
Right,
well, you do it for old furniture too.
right.
And I was familiar with doing that, but I hadn't. Here I am doing watchmaking, and I'm buying shellac, and I never, I didn't make those two in my brain together, as in the shellac in the jewels, I'm already familiar with shellac in the
Yeah.
first place.
Yeah.
That's the same thing. Well, guess what? It is. And then I started looking really close at my old watches. I was looking at my Waltham P. Bartlett,
Yeah. Yeah.
P.S. Bartlett,
Yeah.
and that's from 1879.
Yeah.
That's the oldest watch I've got. And I was looking at the jewels,
Yeah.
and I looked really close, and I'm like, it's this color shellac.
Yeah. I know. It's the same
It's not
stuff.
clear. It's this color. It's that color right there. And someone was saying something about the shellac should be clear and all this
Yeah.
other
Yeah. Yeah. I heard
stuff.
that.
But I looked at the actual watches, and this thing, when I got it, it had never been restored. This
Yeah.
thing
Yeah.
had worked on. It was, when I got it, it was full of dirt and lint and the oil. When I took it apart, the train of wheels came up.
Yeah.
They stayed in place
Yeah.
on the top plate.
All the pivots. All the
plate.
pivots were stuck in the jewel
They were
holes, right?
stuck. I had to literally take it and put it in naphtha, in lighter fluid,
Yeah.
to get it
Yeah.
to get them off,
Yeah.
because I was worried that if I would break them off, the pivots.
Yeah.
And so I know that watch is as it was when it
Yeah.
came.
And that's the
And
shellac, and I can't get denatured alcohol in Canada.
I see.
It's-
I had no idea that was a problem.
I ordered some on eBay. I ordered some on Amazon com, not CA, which is the U.S. Amazon, which I buy things from all the time. It got stopped at the border and returned back to the vendor. And the vendor gave me so I ordered a different type of denatured, and it hasn't been stopped yet. So I'm just praying this one gets through the border, right? So, because
If I put some in a jar for you and label it watch oil,
yeah,
can I do that? Because I'd be glad to help you out.
maybe.
Unless they're going to send the Mounties out for me for sending denatured alcohol into
Well,
Canada.
Yeah, they'll wonder.
What is the deal? Do you know why you can't have?
I think it's an environment. They've declared it to be an environmental hazard. I think
denatured alcohol.
Well, because of off gassing or something from it.
What's IPA do?
It less.
Maybe that's why it works better with shellac, because denatured alcohol.
Oh yeah.
It is a really, it's almost like shellac and denatured alcohol are cousins.
Yeah.
Because when you put them together, they work.
Yeah.
And been that way forever. And I mean, that's what old varnish is. That's denatured alcohol and shellac.
Well, they've got some. I bought a chemical at the local store that had methanol in it, right? And I said, and it looked like it was the equivalent of denatured alcohol, but it's called methanol something, right? Then I read the danger label on it, and I'm saying, holy crap, like nervous system problems, all kinds of crap. And I said, nah, I'm not interested in opening this thing up. So I sent that back, right? So I'm just afraid of it.
I don't know.
So now you can't kill me, Sonny, because I was fine melting a friggin' flake of shellac on an impulse jewel that I've done for years.
And like I'm saying, it was just something that I learned about. And the reason that I brought it up was the fact that you don't have to take the whole gosh darn thing apart to do it.
Well, do you leave the hairspring on as well?
I leave the whole kit and caboodle, leave it all together, and then use a tiny little.
Yeah, you put it in your calipers, right? You said.
Yeah, I put the balance. I don't have a balance out right now.
Yeah.
But you put the balance in your truing calipers.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you use your guide arm, your truing arm, to brace it in place so it doesn't turn around on you.
Yeah.
Set this up in a clamp, and then get some of the denature, get the jewel slid back, get in here with a very fine wire, or you could also use a fine oiler.
Yeah.
Then you get in there, you put the liquid shellac, just a little drop of it on the crystal on the
jewel. So do you use a denatured alcohol to clean the jewel up too, to remove the old one?
the thing is, the last ones I did had so little freaking shellac. All the shellac was right on the end of the jewel, and
Yeah.
when the jewel dropped forward, it came off.
Oh, okay.
That's
Okay.
why they came off in the first freaking place.
Yeah.
Because when they were shellac, they just basically they had the jewel in place, and they just dropped a little bit of shellac
Yeah.
on the back of the roller table.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's why I was in the predicament of having to do it in the first place, because whoever installed the shellac in the first place they'd installed just enough to keep it in there.
Yeah.
But through shipping or through,
get that next customer through the door, right?
Exactly. And so all I had to do is slide the jewel back, put a drop of the shellac right on the tail end of it, and then slide it in place, and then eyeball it, make sure that it's straight and square and flush with the back of the roller table, and then
you just let it sit until it hardens, right?
Yeah. And
I really want to try that technique, because the guy that owns the
I'm sharing the experience I've had.
Yeah.
And laziness, because when I learned that you could use the liquid shellac like that, it got my wheels turning. I'm like, wait a minute. Then I don't have to take the roller table off, when all I need to do is either replace or just re-secure the impulse jewel.
Right.
Why take the whole gosh thing apart if I don't have to?
Because it's a lot of work, and there's a chance of breaking the roller table when you take it off. And you're taking off the hairspring as well, so you have to redo the beat error on it, right? So that's not perfect. So it is a pain in the butt, right?
Yeah, but you don't have to do any of those things. It's like a no-brainer. And I tried it, and it worked. I'm like, well, that's cool.
Yeah. And then you pointed, I think you pointed at the video. Mark, I think, is the guy's name, or
no, Alex.
Oh, Alex. Yeah, Alex is a watch guy's. Watch instructions? Tutorials?
Watch repair tutorials?
Yeah, watch repair tutorials, yeah.
Yeah,
and this guy's really smart. He's a professional watchmaker.
If Alex is watching, I apologize. I can't remember your last name, but your video is instrumental in me learning that and putting the shellac and watchmaking together.
Now Alex took the roller table off in his video, and he put the roller table on a little bench block.
But that's how my wheels turned when I saw that. I'm like, why would I have to take it off at all? So the first thing I did after I watched this video is I went, I don't have to hit this with heat. And the only reason I take the roller table off in the first place is because I'm hitting it with heat, and you don't want to subject the balance to heat. You don't want to subject the hairspring to heat.
No, the little balance, the roller table holder device. It looks like it's from Jurassic. Looks like it's from Jurassic Park, with the mouth in it. The diagram that comes with the box with that roller table, because I've got the actual
doing it all together.
They got everything together. They don't take off the.
I can't bring myself to do that because I'm putting heat right next to all that stuff. And what happens to a hairspring if you heat it up? It's done.
Well, I know.
It's done.
Even the Chicago School of Watchmaking says to do it and put heat in the very tip of that tool. Yeah, I got it. That's the tool. Yeah. I'd worry too. Because hairsprings are hard to source, right?
That's how I taught myself and I watched your video, and that's how I learned how to use the son of a gun.
Yeah.
And so I used this, and I was taking the roller tables off, and usually it's either that the impulse jewel is snapped off.
Yeah.
But what I ran into more often was that the impulse jewel wasn't snapped off. It was loose or it was cockeyed.
Yeah. Loose or raised up, like the bride of Franken watch that came back from the gentleman in the U.S., the one that I'm working on here.
Yeah.
That jewel just goes up. It pops up. So the watch would work perfectly with the face down, because the jewel was sitting down. The minute you turned it the other way, the jewel would drop down, and then it would jump over, and the pallet fork wasn't the dart on the pallet fork wasn't able to do its job, right? So and And the watch I'm working on now, the same thing. The dart needs to be adjusted. I'm not sure how to do that yet because I'm going to maybe do a special video on. I've got 2 new watches that came in from a gentleman in the U.S., right?
Right.
One of them I stripped down and made a video for, and it's got a couple of problems, right? But the one problem that was causing it to jump, it's not called overbanking, but everybody calls it overbanking. When the impulse deal's on the back side of the pallet fork, and it sort of goes bup, 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 and rattles. And it's because this dart itself has slipped down. Just like an impulse deal slipping down, the dart is slipped down. I looked at the base of that dart on the other side of the mouth of the pallet fork, and it looks like a mushroom head.
Huh.
Right? I'm going to do a video on it, right?
Yeah, so you're saying that the tail end of the pallet fork is deformed?
I'm saying that you get the mouth and you got the dart on the pallet fork that goes through the little half moon when the thing rotates. Yeah. That dart is not staying up. It slips down.
Oh, it's one of those where that piece is a separate piece.
Yeah, it's a separate piece. Yeah.
Oh, is that soldered or shellacked in?
I don't know yet. But it's got a little mushroom head on it, like a little helmet on the bottom. So I'm like, okay, that's why the thing moved and jumped over.
I bet that mushroom head ain't a mushroom head. That's shellac.
It might be shellac, yeah.
That's shellac.
And then I got to get more liquid shellac again, right?
They did the thing I've run into, and they didn't slide it down and then put the shellac on and slide it up. They just put some shellac on the tail end of it.
Probably. And I'll give you a kudos. When I do my video, I'll give you a kudos when I see that, whatever the hell it is.
I'm not looking for kudos. Here's the way I am. If I can learn something and then I can use what I've learned to help someone else out, that's the only reason I comment.
It's gold, Jerry.
Huh?
It's gold, Jerry.
I love that stuff.
Actually, some guy...
I remember you saying something about people complaining about your joking, and I'm like, what? I love that. I enjoy that.
I was doing friggin' Elmer Fudd impressions and everything.
Yeah, I love that stuff. But that's all, folks.
Yeah, I know.
That's all, folks.
I enjoy that. That's you being you.
Yeah.
And watch your older videos, and you're just being you. And I enjoy that. I think it's great because then you're doing better watchmaking because you're focused, because you're being you. But if you're trying to be a good boy, then, I'd rather see you be you and do what you do because I found it extremely helpful.
You're going to need to start making some videos, though. Eventually.
I know.
You should, because you could get quite a gathering.
Here's my problem. I'm OCD,
yeah.
And I need to make a video. I'm trying to make sure everything is perfect, and that I'm being perfect.
Yeah.
So see, you're good at being you on the video, right?
Yeah.
And when you're being you, you're on point, and you're in the zone. You're fixing the right.
Yeah.
Well, I have to figure that out, and I'll be.
Well, you could do.
Figure that out. I have to balance my OCD with being me, and do a video.
So I think you do fine. Do you remember Bun Special?
Yeah, I didn't. I'll be honest with you, and I don't mean to be mean. I couldn't stand watching his videos.
He was angry all the time.
On the floor. He's on the floor with packing foam.
Yeah, I know.
He pulls the watch out, and the pieces are rolling all over the place.
I know.
I don't mean to be a critical person, and I'm sure that he is. And if he's watching right now, your watchmaking is good. I could tell.
Just get rid of the bubble wrap.
Yeah,
right.
I know that he's a good watchmaker, but I couldn't watch that. And he's down on the floor. He's working on his knees on the floor, fixing a watch, and the pieces are rolling around. You're hearing the bubble wrap underneath him. I couldn't. It was too.
It was pretty brutal, right?
Yeah, I just couldn't. And so I'm not trying to be mean to him. And I respect him as a good watchmaker.
Yeah, I found him interesting.
I I did watch some, and some of his repairs were helpful to me in learning what he's doing with the watchmaking. But when he's trying to use a staking set and it's bouncing around on the floor, it's just, I'm like, I'm one of those people where I'm trying to reach through the screen and put him up on the table, and it's so distracting to me that I just couldn't watch. I had to stop.
Well, the gentleman who does I Shoot Watches, right? So he was on our talk, right, a couple of weeks ago, and he started his first video without knowing anything about watchmaking. He said he videotaped himself the first time he tried to open a watch. So I was watching that, and I said, okay, this guy's actually shooting watches, like, because he said, I think he meant I shoot watches, meaning camera shoot, right? And I was like, he is killing that watch, right? And I was like, oh my God, what is this guy doing, right? And I told him when I got him in to talk to him, I told him this, and he thought it was pretty funny, right? But he's obviously gotten better and learned more and stuff. Yeah, and he's a pretty bright guy, and he's out of Switzerland too, right? He's out of Switzerland.
I talked to him. If you watch one of his video before the last one, I ended up on his video on speakerphone.
Oh,
because I called him up about his video before that, and he was trying to use a graver, and the graver looked like someone used it as a chisel to pull a nail out of a board. And he's trying to cut with his chisel, and it was very painful for me to watch because the chisel didn't have an edge on it anymore. I wanted to reach through the screen and bring my sharpening tool and my sharpening pads and sharpen the chisel for him.
Yeah, get a little bit of 3000 grit diamond plate with that chisel.
Yeah, I use the diamond plate. You can get them.
Same here.
And the beauty of using those diamond plates are they're perfectly flat.
Yeah.
And they cut when you're using high-speed steel, when you're sharpening a high-speed steel graver, they sharpen fast. They cut fast.
No, I use the made in China. Again, AliExpress.
China.
You need to go. You need to go.
They work. And then when I sharpen carbide gravers on them, here's the difference. You can sharpen carbide gravers on them.
Yeah, there's no problem. It works well.
Basically, sharpening a carbide graver on there is like using a stone to sharpen your graver.
Yeah, I should do a video on that actually, because I've got technique for sharpening the gravers I use for cutting a balance staff. They're micro gravers, right? They're 2 millimeters wide flat, 4 millimeters wide flat, and then 2 millimeters wide rounded, and 2 and 4 rounded, right, for cutting the curves and stuff. Right?
Oh, I gotta tell you something. So I figured out how to. Do you know how you make a round graver?
How?
I round 2 millimeter carbide rod.
Yeah, you buy a round rod. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's how when I
bought carbide in 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter squares, and then I bought the 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter, 3 millimeter round rod.
Yeah.
And
you cut them at an angle.
You cut them at an angle.
Yeah.
And you present that to your freaking steel, and you've got a beautiful radius.
Yeah, that's perfect. It's
so simple. And so first I had gotten one of my gravers that I got, a vintage graver, was rounded, and I'm trying to sharpen the gosh darn thing, and it ain't working. And I finally gave up on that. I'm like, well, I'll have to set up a jig to where I can rotate it on my lathe to get that radius on it. And then I was looking on eBay because I was going to upgrade to making my own carbide gravers, and I'm looking at round carbide rod at 1 millimeter.
And you're like, wait a second.
And I'm like, wait a second, I'll just buy that, and all I got to do is take my diamond blade on my angle grinder and cut that off at an angle.
And guess what?
Then put it in my graver sharpening tool. Perfect that cut,
and you just need the cone for the pivot, right, for making that cone perfectly.
Exactly.
And it's necessary. So we only have a few seconds left. I want to ask you a question before I end.
An hour just go by.
An hour just went by, man. We're gonna do this again too, Sonny. Okay, we're gonna have part 2 of this. Okay.
Well, I'm honored.
But I think I want to know what advice you'd give other people that want to get into the hobby. A lot of
Okay,
new
I
watchmakers join.
about that, and we got talking. And so, my advice that I would give people is read, read. And this is thanks to you.
Yeah.
You highlighted this book, and you want to know what I did right after I watched your video? I ordered this on Amazon
Right away.
right away.
Yeah, that is a
You opened this book up and you started talking about what's inside there, and I saw that and I went, "Oh my goodness!"
well. There's two other books you need to pick up eventually, right?
Oh, hang on. And
Yeah,
this right
that's gold too. That one's
here,
gold too.
these are my Bibles.
And this one here, you probably can't
So
see.
far,
I may be backwards right now with my video, but this is a Chicago School of Watchmaking book.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
It's massive, but it's really good, and it was for all the students. And this one here is gold, Jerry. This is the Bulliva School of Watchmaking book, and I did a review of all these books. And these are in addition to the two that you got, which are gold. The bench practices one, because it has a lot of lathe and parts making stuff and special stuff, right? So, but you're absolutely right, Sonny. Read. You cannot stop, and then reread. Pick the book up again when you got nothing to do, and read that section again, right?
Practice.
Yeah.
You start taking watches apart. Take a watch movement apart, and put it back together. Take it apart.
Yeah.
Put it back together.
Yeah.
Familiarize yourself with the pieces, and the only way to do that
Is practice. Yeah.
That's what. When it comes down to it, the only way to learn is to do it.
Yeah. You're
The
absolutely
more
right.
that you take a watch apart and put it back together again, the more familiar you become with each piece and part, every screw where they go. I've got to the point now, I know which screws are the bridge screws. I know which screw is the screw for the pallet cock or pallet bridge.
And your ability to use your tweezers properly so parts don't fling, the actual feel that you have on your tweezers, that's important as well, right? Screwdriver use, tweezer holding and use, and then
tweezers.
You're not going to get good at it unless you do it over and over again, right?
Practice.
Well,
Practice.
On that note, we got only 1 minute left. Do you have anything more to say?
Well, don't be afraid. The main thing is, if you're going to start on a watch, buy something you're not afraid of breaking. You can't worry about breaking it. I can't tell you how many people I talk to. That's their number one concern. They can't do it is they're worried about breaking it. And here's the bottom line. If you're worried about snapping that pivot off, you're going to snap it clean off.
You will snap it off.
It's going to happen. Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you're not afraid of it happening, then honestly, it's not going to happen.
No, you're relaxed and you're able to address the problem.
Because if you're tense, your motor skill goes down.
On that note, I'd personally like to thank you for chatting with me, Sonny. So we're going to do this again. There's going to be a part 2 because I think there's a lot we could talk about on this whole hobby of watchmaking. You're a brilliant man, first of all. All the advice you've given me over the last couple of years where you've given me comments on what I've done, I've listened to everything you've said. I've learned from what you've said on what I've done. So, you're a very smart individual, and that's why I called you to ask if I could chat with you today. So you're going to be like the guy that everyone's going to. I'm old. You're going to get older as well someday, but you're going to be the guy they call for advice eventually.
Well,
so
I don't see myself as that at all. If I see something and I understand what it is and I have an answer that I feel is going to help, then I'm going to bring that forward. That's all I do.
Well, you're good. You're good. So thanks, Sonny, and I'll talk to you soon. I'm going to have videos coming out in the weekend, so I'll chat back and forth with you. Maybe next week we can have another talk, okay?
Oh, it sounds great.
Go hug your kids. Go kiss your wife. Right?
Oh, here's William. Come over here.
Hey, William, how you doing?
Here's my budding watchmaker. Here.
That's the junior watchmaker.
Yeah, that's William.
Yeah. You watch what your dad does, and then when you get older, you do what your dad does. I play guitar. You know that. You've seen my guitar playing on YouTube. Like I
Hey,
play.
tell them what you like to do.
Make watches.
Yeah, and we've got a Fender guitar he likes to play with.
Oh yeah, Fender Strat
Brent
or.
Stratocaster.
All right, man, you got it. I got a few of those. I do. And the guitar, I've got a guitar from 1967, my very first guitar. If this video doesn't end on me, I'll pick it up. This is my very first guitar.
Oh, it's a beauty.
1967, I got this guitar. It's from Japan.
That's gorgeous.
And it was in the Simpson Sears catalog.
No kidding.
And my dad bought it for $67. Simpson Sears.
Look at the color on that thing.
What's that?
Look at the color on that thing. It's got the perfect colors.
Oh, I know. It's got switches. It's got really unique switches here, right? So it's not the one I play at all right now because I got a lot of guitars. But this one here is my first guitar.
That thing like a copy or of a Fender type guitar?
No, it wasn't. It's a 67. And it was from a company in Japan that was selling guitars to Sears catalogs, right? So Sears.
Wow, it's
So
a nice.
I looked it up. It's a shame there was a sticker up here at some point in time right there, and it fell off probably 40 years ago. And I was like, so I did a Google search on the image, and I found the brand of a guitar. So I don't think they're worth much, but I have my very first electric guitar. I've been playing since I was 8 years old. I've played in rock bands. I've played on stage lots. And my dad and mom played their whole life in a band. And so it's a really good hobby to have. So keep up the guitar playing. You'll never be lonely if you know how to play guitar.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah. And you'll be proud of your son when you're watching him up there playing someday and going, "Oh my God, how did he learn all that? It couldn't have been me."
Now, I can't play it for nothing. Yeah, I can't. Not to. I got it to learn, but I'm not. I just don't have the patience for it. You have to put your fingers in unnatural positions to make the right sounds.
That and watchmaking, you got to do the same damn thing.
It's true, but I guess the difference is the watchmaking excites me.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. The music relaxes me. So if your son gets really good at music, he'll be more relaxed, right?
I'll have music playing in the background.
Yeah, you will, yeah. So on that note, they're going to cut us off in 2 seconds. So thanks a lot again. And William, is your son's name is William?
William.
William. So William, keep an eye on your dad, and whenever he loses a part and his hands go up in the air and go, I don't know what I've done, right? Your job is to go on your hands and knees and find that watch part, okay?
These hands here, he can use a watchmaking lathe.
Oh, yeah, I know. Pretty impressive, right?
It makes me very proud.
That's cool.
Very.
All right, Sonny, you take care, okay?
All right, you take care.
From way up here in Canada, keep care of yourself, stay safe, right? And keep fixing watches and making them, okay?
No, keep being you, man.
I'll try.
Gold, Jerry, gold.
Gold, Jerry, it's gold. And a shout out to Ed Horn, because I know Ed Horn loves when I say thingamajobby doohickey. So that's a shout out for Ed Horn. He's in New York City, and he was the first Franken watch I fixed. And I have a video from way back, right? And he said it's running better than any of his other watches still. So Ed Horn.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is really awesome. Yeah. That part right there where you can fix something that someone else sees as unfixable and turn it back to them, and that joy that you can impart. I dig that.
Yeah, I like that. That's why I do it. I do it for that alone. I don't take anybody buys watches and wants to send them me to fix. I don't do them. I won't do them, right? So I'll fix only if they're their great grandfather's watch and he passed away, and I want to give them to my kids and stuff. Those are the watches I fix.
Yeah.
So
because that's gonna be handed down and appreciated, and the other thing about watchmaking is that it's magical. When you put together a watch that is broken and doesn't work, and you put that balance in, and it's ticking back to life, and it's gaining speed and getting the amplitude up, and the sound that it makes, I don't know how else to say it, but a watch that is working is a magical thing.
You're a heart surgeon, Sonny. Right?
It's real.
The patient's alive again. It's alive, right?
When you're fixing a watch is a complicated and complex thing, and to be able to make that complex thing work again, it's magic.
Yeah, it is. It is.
It is.
So you take care of yourself, and I'll catch you later. Okay, both you
All
guys.
right. Great
All right.
evening. Good
Yeah.
talking.
Bye bye.